Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of LightHearted. I'm Britton.
And I'm Rachel. Today we're diving into a topic that's so important for personal growth: self-compassion versus accountability. How do we know when to give ourselves grace and when to give ourselves a little bit of tough love?
Self-compassion and accountability is such a balancing act, right?
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, we don't want to be so hard on ourselves that we just get completely burnt out, because that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, if we're always letting ourselves off the hook, then we're never moving forward. We're never giving ourselves the opportunity to grow. So today we're going to break it down. First, we're going to talk about self-compassion. Then we'll talk about accountability. And then we're going to talk about how fun it is to put the two together.
Let's start with self-compassion. Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would give to a good friend. And this isn't just touchy-feely stuff. There's solid research behind it.
Yeah, there totally is. If you follow Dr. Kristen Neff, I really like her work. She shows that self-compassion can actually increase resilience, reduce anxiety, and even boost motivation, which I think that's pretty cool, and we could all use a little bit more of that. Mm-hmm. When we're kinder to ourselves, we create a mindset that's more conducive to healing and growth instead of getting stuck in self-criticism, which I think is where most people seem to get stuck. One thing I've noticed is that self-compassion doesn't mean that you're just excusing bad behavior or you're giving up on all of your goals. It just means saying, I'm a human being. I made a mistake maybe, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like how do we move forward from here? And I think that's the most important part, is like, how can I move forward from here?
Right.
Have you ever had a moment where self-compassion really changed things for you?
Yeah, I'm sure I've had a lot of moments like that. Without going into specifics and like taking forever to talk, I feel like we all struggle with habits. Habits are rough.
They're hard to break, for sure.
They're very hard. And so I've struggled with like some of the same ones for a long, long time. And when I would like make a mistake, I would be so hard on myself. And like I have notes on my phone of me like talking to myself, and it's so negative. It's like, you are such a screw up. Like, why can't you figure this out? Why can't you get this right? Like, you're never gonna be anywhere in life because you can't figure this out. And then you have to think to yourself, would I say this to a close friend that has the same issues? And it's like, no, I would never like look at you and say like, you're never going to figure this out. You're never going to get this right. And so just reminding yourself that like, you're a human being and you're going to mess up, and it's okay to mess up. And even if it's the same mistakes over and over and over again, because we're humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all of that. And I think like you kind of keep going back to like the same mindset where it's like, if somebody else was doing this, would I feel the same way?
Right.
And I just think that's like such a healthy way to look at it, because it's like, no, like I wouldn't look at you and be like, oh, she's such a screw up. Like, that's insane. Who says that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that.
Yeah. And like accountability plays into that as well.
Totally.
But having compassion for yourself is so important, because I feel like if you're going to just keep talking negatively to yourself and like, you're never going to get this right, then you're never going to get it right, because you're going to be like, well, if I can't get it right anyway, then what matters?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's so awesome. I got to go, this reminded me, I got to go on like a little retreat several years ago, and like the purpose of the retreat was like healing your inner child and like coming back from some of those like negative self-talk things. And so over the course of the weekend, we had to each come up with kind of like a little mantra we were going to say anytime like we were having a tough time. Mm-hmm. And so the one that kept coming up for me was just like, I'm a human being and I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, anytime you're struggling, or like anytime I'm personally struggling, I can be like, I'm just a human and I'm trying. And it really does help to be like, no, I'm not a screw up.
Yeah.
Like I messed something up.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not a screw up because I'm a human being and I'm trying my best.
Yeah. It's looking at a situation and be like, yeah, maybe I failed at that, but I'm not a failure.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like you aren't what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know, I think some people disagree with that. It's like, you are what you do, but like just because you fail, it doesn't mean you're a failure.
Right.
We talked about that in our Falling Isn't Failing episode, where, you know, like just because you fail, it doesn't, or just because you fall, it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just really love self-compassion because I feel like it allows me to acknowledge my feelings without judgment. And then it gives me strength to try again.
Yep.
Because like it's saying like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, I did mess that up and it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we can all move forward and it's great.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk tips. How do we actually practice self-compassion in a meaningful way?
I love tips for this. I think it's so good. So one thing that really changed kind of like how I viewed myself was just like finding the voice of my inner critic. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm sure we're all becoming more familiar with that because I feel like this is more talked about on social media and everything now where it's like, hey, that little voice in your head, it's not really your voice inside your head, right? Like it's the people who maybe picked on you the most or it's who's the most negative about you. Like that's who you hear over and over again. And so, yeah, it's like identifying that voice and then kind of like being able to pick it out anytime you are struggling and just being like, oh, that wasn't coming from me. That was just like my little inner critic.
Yeah.
And like you can give them a mean name if you want. Like, but yeah, so finding your inner critic, naming that voice, and then like moving forward has been really helpful for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you? What are some things that you like to do?
Well, I mean, I just mentioned like looking at it from a different perspective. So like thinking I wouldn't say that to anyone else. And then to go along with that too, I feel like practicing mindfulness and like establishing where is this feeling coming from? What exactly am I feeling right now? And going through it and talking yourself through it just like you would a good friend.
Yeah, I really like that. In therapy, everyone go to therapy. It's good for you. In therapy, my therapist was talking about how like certain emotions are protector emotions, which I don't think is like huge news to some people, but like it was news for me because like I didn't realize that anytime I'm feeling anger, like anger is a protector emotion. And so it's out there like protecting other ones, which is usually like sadness or guilt or whatever else I might be feling. And so I think there's so much power in just being like, what am I actually feeling right now? Yeah. My final tip that I have is kind of a weird one, so stay with me. But I like to create affirmations as like neutral statements, just because like I know there is power in positive thinking, but also like your brain knows when you're lying. And so like if I came out here and I was like I failed, and then I was like, no, you didn't. You're a perfect, wonderful cupcake princess, and you're the queen of the world. Like my brain's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's live a real life for a minute. And so I think I try to form things in the form of like neutral statements. Yes. So back to mine where it's like, I'm a human being. That's a neutral statement. And it's true, just so you all know. Yeah. Human being. And I tried my best. Yeah. Like, and I do typically try my best in everything that I do. Yeah. Yeah.
And being honest with yourself of like, maybe I didn't try my best. Yes. And maybe I made that mistake and kind of knew I was going to make that mistake and being like, okay, we need to try harder next time. And you messed that up, but it's okay.
Yeah. Like I'm a human being and I messed up. Yeah. Like I'm trying my best and I'm going to try better next time.
And I know we're saying this really easy and I'm sitting here like repeating things that I'm like, okay. But in moments I'm sitting there sobbing. Yeah.
But I will say, like, if you practice your mantras enough, like, not to say, like, everyone go out and get a mantra, but, like, have something in your back pocket that you can say to, like, help you move forward in tough situations. Right. If you practice it enough, then, like, it just starts to pop into your head. So now, like, anytime something happens, I'm not like, man, I failed. I'm like, oh, man, okay, I can try harder next time. Yeah. Like, and then I move on and it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's so hard. Okay. If you guys have any tips for any of these things, please like post them and tag us or send them to us on a DM at LightHearted Pod on Instagram. We're always looking for more and more tips to just make life better for everybody.
Yeah. We've already gotten some cool tips on some of the past episodes and we just love hearing your guys' like stories and Yeah.
And like what works for you,
your point of view on these things. So, yeah.
All right. Let's switch gears. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about accountability. The fun one. Oh. So this is all about taking ownership of your actions and following through on your commitments, even when it's really hard. Because it is hard sometimes. Or if you're tired or you just don't want to do it or you have 500 other excuses that always come up. Like, let's talk about accountability.
Accountability is what keeps us moving forward. And there's science behind it too. When we set goals and we actually share them with someone, we're more likely to achieve them. It's the commitment effect in action.
I love everything about that. And I definitely think that's true for me. So it's not just about external accountability. It's also about internal accountability, which is just holding yourself to your own personal values that you have. It's just as important. So that's when your integrity gets to come out to play. So have you ever had a moment where accountability was the thing that pushed you to succeed?
That's a great question. The first thing that comes to mind for me is moments where I'm struggling or like I need help with something or I need help achieving something, whatever that may be. I'm thinking now like going to counseling. That's not fun to do. Like no one wants to do that. But like knowing that I need help and then like having a split second where I'm being brave and like reaching out and being like, hey, like this is what's going on. Please don't let me back out, and like having a person that like will hold you accountable for that and then holding yourself to those standards and being like, hey, so like there's this thing I need to do and please don't let me back out of it. And like them pushing you to do that.
Yeah. I like that a lot because like you know yourself well enough too to be like, if it's just up to me, I'm going to have a tough time with that. So how do I get my people to rally?
Right. Because I mean, even last year I was having a really rough moment and I was like, I need to go to counseling, and I knew that I needed to talk to someone, and I like reached out and I had a split second of bravery, and then the next morning I was like, what did I just do? But I didn't tell them to like hold me accountable. So then I was like, never mind, I'm good. And they were like, are you sure? And then of course they were people that are going to hold me accountable anyways. I'm like, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah
I like that. So just find like that split second of bravery.
Yeah, like tiny.
And then you can make really big changes. Yeah, that's really cool.
Find a texting app where you can't delete your text.
Like, does that exist?
I don't know. I'm like thinking.
If that doesn't exist already, we have dibs.
One big thing I'll use is Snapchat because it tells you when you start typing. Because, you know, like I'll type up a message to send to someone. And if you start typing, especially to someone like you're reaching out for help that you would normally message on there, you started typing and they're going to see that you started typing.
That's so cool. See, that's what we need.
Yep.
That's what we all need. I think that's amazing.
And then have people that'll hold you accountable.
I really like that. I think external accountability is such a big one for most people because like internal accountability is really hard. And so like if you can rely on internal accountability and then start bringing in external sources, I think there's so much power in that.
Right.
Yeah. Or vice versa. If you're having a tough time holding yourself accountable, like start with the external sources.
Yep. What about you? Have you had moments like that?
Of course, because I'm a human being and I'm trying my best. Yeah, I think there aren't like specific moments that come to mind, but oftentimes it's like, okay, I signed on for this big project, whatever, and like I'm just really struggling to like want to get it done. But then it's like, oh no, like all of these people are counting on you. You have to do this.
On you to do it.
Yeah, like sorry, there's nothing else that you can do. Like you can't just bail, you can't just flake on people. Like that's not cool. And so I think that's often a motivator for me, is like not letting people down. I'm a recovering people pleaser, so a little about me. But then I think for my own internal motivation, oftentimes I can't rely on my own motivation, and so I have to just go back to like disciplined habits. And I think that's where I struggle, where it's like, no, I don't have motivation, and there are some things that like I don't have enough discipline in yet. And so then I have to go to my external motivators. But yeah, I think anytime I'm like in a position to potentially let people down, it kicks me in the butt to get it done pretty fast. All right. So let's get into some tips for how to stay accountable. So what have you found that works for you?
I think to go along with my story is just like setting goals and then like telling someone, because that'll keep you like hold you accountable to it. But you have to be careful of who you share it with, because I've had moments where I'm like, okay, I'll share it with this person because I know that they'll probably let me flake if I want to. So you have to pick people that will really hold you accountable.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, where it's like, this person doesn't care enough to make me do it.
That, like important things, yes, but I feel like some small things, your friends aren't going to want to make you mad. And sometimes they have to make you mad to do the things that you need to do. You know what I mean?
I really didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, okay. So like, do you have specific people where it's like, no, this is legit. I have to get this done. So I have to tell this person. Or it's like, okay, I could maybe flake on this and it's probably fine. So I tell this person. Or like, what's your...
It depends on what the situation is.
Yeah.
So like my sister-in-law, there's certain things with her that I'll be like, okay, I know she'll hold me accountable to this. But then there's other things that I'm like, okay, if I tell her this, she won't want to make me mad and probably won't keep on me for that. Like, and that's not me talking bad about her. That's just her being a good friend. And like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I feel like I can tell you things and you will hold me accountable kindly.
I try to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that though. Like where it's like, okay, like people don't want to make the people that they love mad. Mm-hmm. And so it is easier to like...
Try not to do it with people in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, spouses are good people to tell these things to.
Totally.
But if they're not going to want to like make you really angry and keep on you every day and you're getting frustrated about it, like maybe tell an outside source.
Like someone you're not going to butt heads with every day over it. Yeah. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. That's good advice.
What about you? Any
this
tips?
Person over here with really good advice.
Thanks. What's your tips?
So I'm really big on like planners and notebooks. You know this. Mm-hmm. That's like
we love a good notebook.
I love a notebook. It makes me so happy. So one thing that I really do have to do for myself is like have an actual like physical plan. I know there are lots of like apps and stuff. I'm like I need a physical plan. Yeah. So I like to have it written down somewhere where I can actually see it and I can see what the plan is and I can try to understand like what my goals are and I can see the end dates. And so I usually do that and then I like write down kind of like smaller goals along the way so that I can check things off as I go.
Yeah.
And it's just like the tiny progress makes a really big amount of difference to me. And then like seeing the physical dates of my goals is really helpful too.
Yeah.
But I also just really like a planner. So I will literally put anything in there.
Yeah.
Like I'll put like wash dishes.
Oh yeah.
On
like,
every day.
If I need motivation, I will put the smallest tasks that I know that I'll complete so that I get to check it
done.
off. Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely put stupid things in there, but it helps my brain.
It's helpful, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you do?
I think acknowledging when you mess up though, like we said earlier, like you set this goal and I missed the date or I missed the deadline or I didn't hold myself to the standard that I thought I would. Don't sweep that under the rug. Acknowledge that you did that and just be like, okay, let's try better. Just like I said earlier.
So how do you do that if you choose not to share your goals with somebody?
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself accountable and be like, oh man, I was going to eat more vegetables and I didn't do that? Like, how do you acknowledge that? And then...
I really don't do a good job of that.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I personally struggle with is like if I don't have somebody keeping me accountable. Oh, go ahead.
So this is a quick little side note to this, but are you someone that like does better when like you set a goal and you have a date that you need to finish something? Like, do you wait till like right up against it to get it done? Like, are you a procrastinator?
Yes.
Okay, same.
Yeah, but only because like scientific theory, okay, it has been proven over and over and over again that I can still wait until the last minute and do a pretty dang good job.
I was going to say.
Like, I've never been punished for waiting until the last minute.
Yeah, the only thing that stinks for that is me stressing about it for the whole time.
That's true. You could just forget about it.
Right. I do sometimes.
But yeah, so I think I would like to be somebody who's like, oh, okay, I have 2 weeks to do a project and I'm going to start right now. But like, in my life, there's been no reason to do that because like I don't stress too much about things.
Yeah.
And then it's like I still do a really good job. Mm-hmm. And so I have a really tough time with procrastination because I don't see the purpose of not doing that.
Yeah. It's like packing for a trip and waiting till the night before.
Yeah.
Or the morning of.
It's like, then at least like the clothes are clean and you don't have to go look. Like it's all there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a tough time with that one. The only one, okay, I have like body goals. You know, we're not going to get like super into that.
Yeah.
But like that's the only one where I feel like I struggle really big with it because it's just like, you can't wait till last minute for that. Yeah. Like there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah. Like, and so I think that's one that's constantly something I'm having to like try to shift my mindset on.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I can think of. Yeah. That's a
Let
good,
us know what you do.
What works for you?
Yeah. Are you a procrastinator? Do you wait till the last second to get your stuff done, or do you like get it done a week in advance?
And if you do get it done a week in advance, like how does that impact you?
Yeah.
And like give us tips, because I would like to be more like present. Like I would be like, there's a project, let me start now. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I would just half start everything.
Yeah.
Or like start it and only get half of it done, and then have like 8 things going at once.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel.
I don't know, guys.
Okay, I have one final tip that I saw like in a TikTok video maybe 5 years ago, but it like really changed my thought process on some things. So it was kind of like if-then statements about your goals. So it's like, okay, if I'm too tired to work out, then I'm just going to go on a quick 10-minute walk. Or like, if I don't feel like working on my project all day, like then I'm just going to like, I'm going to start this part of the project or just whatever, like give yourself a tiny little bit that you can get done.
Yeah.
And for me, that was really nice because it was basically like, okay, if I don't feel like putting in a whole workout, I'm going to go walk on a treadmill for 10 minutes. And if I don't want to be there anymore, then I just leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at least you're still doing something, rather than if you didn't have that, you would probably just be like, okay, then I'm not working out today.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And so I really like that thought process with, I think it can be applied to most goals.
Yeah.
Maybe not all goals, but like I think for most things you can. Yeah.
That's good.
So I feel like the real magic happens when we bring compassion and accountability together.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've both seen that. So it's not about choosing one over the other. It's about knowing when to lean into each one when you need more of one or more of the other.
Definitely. Think of self-compassion as the foundation. It gives you the emotional strength to keep going, and accountability is the framework that helps you build on that foundation. For example, let's say you're working on a fitness goal. If you miss a workout, self-compassion says, it's okay, one day won't ruin your progress. Accountability says, let's plan to get back on track tomorrow.
Yeah. I think that's a really good example. Another way to combine them is to set realistic goals.
Yes.
So self-compassion can help you acknowledge your limitations, because like we all have limits.
Right.
We can't do as much as we would like to do sometimes. Yeah. But accountability helps us to stretch just enough to grow without burning out completely. And I just kind of want to point out that like it's a cycle. So accountability can help us move forward, and then self-compassion jumps in to catch us when we fall, because we will fall. It's going to happen. So I think that together they create a really nice balance and quite a bit of momentum if we let it. Yeah. All right. So what is the big takeaway here? Self-compassion and accountability aren't opposites. They are partners in helping us grow and achieve all of our dreams and goals.
When we approach our goals with kindness and structure, we set ourselves up for sustainable success. And that's what it's all about. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love to hear how you personally balance self-compassion and accountability in your own life. And we would love for you to share your own stories or your tips with us on Instagram at LightHeartedPod. Your stories inspire us every single day. So please share them with us.
As an added bonus, we share info about new episodes and some behind the scenes content on Instagram. And if you'd like to hang out with us while we get ready to film these episodes, you can follow us on our own personal TikTok accounts. Those will be linked below.
Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, stay lighthearted.
This podcast was recorded on Buzzsprout in West Virginia.